Everybody, welcome to another edition of Box Seats. Your host, Frank Holder, sitting here with you. Let's get ready to get the show started. The show where we talk about sports and comedy. My man Fig is in the building. What's up, Fig?
How you start with me? Where's talent?
I'm going to surprise you because guess who else is up in the building? Rodney Perry's in here.
Oh my God, Rodney Perry laying down.
Rodney
I
Perry.
ain't laying down. I'm in a chair.
You were so far back. I thought you was laying down. It's a good day though, Frank. Friday is always a good day.
That's
And
definitely
plus,
true.
Rodney Cash at me some money, so I'm feeling really good.
Really?
He didn't? Or it must have been another Rodney Perry that.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a second. But, let's jump into the show, man, because while I wait for the guys to come on board, man, and I was off for a couple of days, but let me just say this, man. Some news broke yesterday. I couldn't wait to jump in and talk to you guys about it, man, and I want to hear what you guys think about all this first. So, Rodney Perry, man, give me your first thoughts when you hear about Brittney Griner ended up getting a 9-year prison sentence for the 2 vapes, that she got caught with. Like, we've been talking about Brittney Griner for a while. We definitely discussing this. But Brittney Griner got 9 years. The Russians ended up coming down hard on her. And she got, if you'd sit at home, she had 2 capsules like the size of this, right? 2 of them. And she got a 9-year sentence. Rodney Perry, what's your thoughts on Brittney Griner being literally given her sentence of 9 years for this?
Well, now diplomacy can begin. So what's happened? Now you'll see, the State Department and things like that. She's still an American citizen, and the formalities of charging her and hitting her with the sentence is just a formality. And I think she'll come out, when they do get the right combination of people to come out because of her.
But Fig, what happens if it doesn't happen like that? Like, she ain't, you know what I mean? She could sit there wait for a long time before it happens.
Yeah, because the dude that was in there before she got caught, I think he's been there for over a year now. So it may be a little longer than that. So basically, I hate to say it this way, but Brittney Griner might have to man up.
That's not even funny, man. That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
I mean, listen, we comedians, we got to tell some jokes here. But I really believe, like Rodney, it's basically a formality, because if she's not guilty of anything, then how can the United States trade a prisoner that is guilty for somebody who's not guilty? You got to make her guilty. You got to give her a sentence so that facilitates the swapping of prisoners.
Rodney Perry, the problem that I have with all of this is, and the fact of it is that she doesn't get time served. She doesn't get parole. She doesn't get good time. She gets 9 years to the day that she got sentenced right now. Let's just say diplomacy goes out the window and everything else. Do you honestly think, and everything else, forget about diplomacy, is that a fair sentence to you? Is that fair to you?
I mean, I just hope she doesn't have to do the whole 9, where that has to become an issue. I mean, you make a great point, Frank. If she has to do the term, it's really not cool. So hopefully that we can take Brittney Griner and really give her, whatever the really deal with this diplomatically as opposed to dealing with her as a criminal. I mean, at the end of the day, it's relatively a small amount of drugs she had. So yeah.
And the crazy thing is, Fig, like, Public Enemy, my man Chuck D from Public Enemy said yesterday, I don't know if you saw him on Twitter, but he said yesterday, he said, people are supposed to know what you're going to do when you go overseas. He said in some countries, he said, people might be upset about Brittney Griner and things like that and the drugs and everything else. He said, but in some countries, because he said, when I was traveling, I was told in certain countries, don't bring any drugs on you, because if you get caught in a drug, it's a death sentence. So on the flip side, he understands what happened with her, but he made a great point. He said, you're supposed to know the laws of what's going on in the company you're traveling to if you're performing in that country. And he didn't have any remorse for her, because he's like, she'd been there before. She knew what was going on, and she took a chance. And he's on the side of not having no remorse. What's your thoughts?
Well, I understand that. Some people are like that, man. I'll tell you like this. Some comedians use substances. You know what I mean? And when I went on the road years ago, when we all used to travel together, I used to tell everybody, look, don't bring nothing with you, nothing illegal. Because if we get stopped, I'm not taking a rap for nobody. So make sure you ain't got nothing. Make sure that whatever you need or whatever you want, you get it when we get there. And then before we got to travel to the spot, you get rid of it before we get back in this vehicle and go again. Because I am not taking a rap for nobody illegal substance. Because you think it's different in different countries. It's different states, man. If you go to a state that is what's called a commonwealth, man, listen, it ain't like every place else in the United States. Every state in these United States of America got different laws and different penalties. Man, I got stopped by a cop on the road one time. I was driving 80 miles an hour. I think it was in Pennsylvania. He said, let me tell you something. He said anything over 80 miles an hour is considered reckless driving. And I would have to take you in and you'd have to see the judge before you could go anywhere. So I'm just like, yo, you have to know what is going on when you travel. My question is, what made them look at the vapes anyway? Because don't everybody have them vapes? Like, what made you check hers specifically to see what was in there? Like, I'm sure she wasn't smoking it while she was in the airport. So what made you look at hers as opposed to anybody else's?
Well, again, you guys bring up some great points. I'm going to just throw this out there and say this. I think they were waiting for her to come through, and they were going to, because at the time the country was going through war with Ukraine. I think they were waiting and looking for anything they could get, anything for anybody coming from the U.S. I think that's what the bottom line of that is. So Rodney Perry, I want to bring this up to you too. We talked about this a couple of days ago before last day, and we were talking about Deshaun Watson, and you weren't on the last show we were talking about this, but we were talking about Deshaun Watson being suspended for 6 games and everything else. Since we've been on the air, since we've been on the air the last couple of times, Deshaun Watson case ended up coming back in front of the NFL because the NFL did push back and say, and because they had the opportunity to say, they said they were not happy with what the judge decided was going to be 6 games suspension for Deshaun Watson. They literally want him to be suspended for the whole year. Michael Sean's in the building. Mike, what's going on? How you doing?
What up, fellas? What's good? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Mike.
Happy Friday, Mike. Happy Friday. But Rodney Perry, so now that the NFL has filed a grievance against what the judge has basically stated, what's your thoughts on the NFL coming forward? Because they listen, we want him to be suspended for a full year. Cleveland must have known he's going to be suspended for a full year because they ended up only giving him a 1-year payment of $1 million. What's your take on this, Rodney Perry, now that the NFL has officially pushed back on this? What's your take, RP?
I mean, when I heard that they asked for an appeal, it kind of alarmed me because I thought this was the end of it. But by virtue of them asking for an appeal, I think we'll see him ultimately getting at least a year or more. And if he gets that year, he would have lost a year. I mean, not eligibility, but a year of like greatness. And so I think somebody has still got looking for this guy to fail. And so, but how about this? It's the Browns, and they're probably gonna lose anyway. So
yeah.
Maybe it's good that he's not there this year.
Yeah. Fig, the crazy thing about it is I'm still looking forward. I'm going through the information about this and everything else. I think, I'm not sure just yet, but it might be possible for Deshaun Watson to play while there will be an appeal for him to be decided whether or not he's going to be suspended or not, which could be good for the Cleveland or bad for Cleveland, depending on where it's at. You want to see him play while there's an appeal? What's your take on this, Fig?
I want to see him play, period, man. I just like it burns me up to no end to see another brown face prosecuted with absolutely no evidence whatsoever. I mean, you tell me I go to see 2 grand juries and they can't find enough evidence to prosecute me, but I get prosecuted anyway. They did the same thing to O.J. Simpson. I mean, he was found not guilty, but then you go to another court and they take the man's money, tear down his house, and like what are we talking about? Is that like what? It just burns me up. I don't care whether you think they're guilty or not. If you don't have enough evidence in order to prosecute a man through the guidelines. We have a court system. You go through the court system. If they can't find any credible evidence, then why are you still punishing the man? He's not going to jail. I don't care what you do. He is not going to jail. So the only thing you can do from this man is take away his eligibility to make money and to earn a living playing, or to take away his money. You're punishing him for what? There's no evidence. So what are we punishing him for? It doesn't make sense to me. I hate it.
That's your take. Michael, Sean, we got, like I said, we got the Deshaun Watson case. We talked about last time we were on the air about the NFL basically having the ability to possibly get some kickback against the NFLPA. They did. They filed. They want him to basically be suspended for the whole year. You know, and Deshaun Watson's camp was happy with the finding the judge said. Where's your take on this, Mike?
Number one, Roger Goodell misplayed his hand. Roger Goodell allowed the Cleveland Browns to do something where they just paid him $1 million for 1 year because they thought they had proven their case. Then the judge said, yeah, you proved your case, but because of the actions that Roger Goodell has had, I can only give him 6 games. Roger Goodell got pissed because the reason why he allowed the Browns to only pay him $1 million for 1 year is because he thought he was going to get 1 year. So now Roger Goodell, now let me go to the NFL PA, whoever's running the union for the NFL. You agreed to something that was supposed to change a process. But at the end of the process, you agreed to, if Roger Goodell doesn't agree to it, he can change it. So the NFL union needs to look at themselves on how stupid they were, where Roger Goodell said, we're going to change me being the judge and jury. But we're not. Because at the end of the day, I can still override whatever the judge says. So my beef is not like Deshaun Watson. I'm not even talking about him. I'm talking about the stupidity of the NFL union to agree to something that was supposed to change something, but changed nothing. Because you still gave Roger Goodell the power to be able to say, I can either extend it or shorten the suspension. So that is stupidity in its highest sense.
Yeah,
So
that makes Mike, you're making a lot of sense. I mean, Mike, you hit the nail on the head clear across the board. Fig hit the nail on the head. You know, you guys are both hitting the nail on the head. Well, let's even talk about this. Rodney Perry. Let's talk about Rodney. You settled?
Can I ask Mike a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mike, is there a scenario where Roger Goodell could shorten it?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. He can't.
No. He can literally shorten or extend.
He could suggest that it should be shortened, but he can't because they agreed that whatever the judge said, they would stick to as long as it's not shortened.
No, he can't, Frank. Technically, Roger Goodell appointed somebody else to make another decision.
Right.
So basically, the person that you hire, you don't like this decision that the judge made. So now I'm going to hire somebody else. I'm going to appeal it, and then I'm going to hire somebody else to do something else. Then that person can't.
That's not how it worked, though, is it, Fig? I think
he did. That's exactly what he did.
No. Well, Mike, you got the floor. You finish your thought.
Okay, my final point is that Roger Goodell can literally still change the final result. He can still change it. He can lower it. He can raise it. So that means the NFL commission, the NFL union, agreed to something that was supposed to change something that changed absolutely nothing. That changed nothing because Roger Goodell, just like Obama thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win the election, Roger Goodell thought he proved his point. And let's be clear, the judge said they did prove their case. The judge said they did prove it. The reason why she gave him 6 games was on the erratic behavior of how Roger Goodell was punishing players. She was like, you do this for this, and then you do this for that. So she said for every quarter, for every person, for every quarter, we're going to take a quarter away from him. She basically called Roger Goodell out on how ridiculous his judgments were for all these years. And she said, in honesty, if we go by the law, I can just give him 6 games by what you have judged all these years.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's 100%. You're right about that. But Rodney Perry, guess what happens now? Guess what the next thing happened? Because like in this thing, there's a domino effect. Now, since that happened, now let's look at the Brian Flores case, Rodney. Since that happened, the lawyers for Brian Flores, they had to opt, and others, it's been decided that they may not gather more evidence before the decision on whether a lawsuit will be sent to arbitration in the Brian Flores case, because it reflects on the Deshaun Watson's lawsuit. And as we all know, Brian Flores has this case also against the NFL, against basically throwing games, against it's so much here to unpack. But it's basically against throwing games, getting paid for discrimination, and getting paid for losing games. You know what I mean? If you throw this game, we'll give you $300,000. And of course, tampering. You know what I mean? Tampering with Tom Brady. And so there's just so much going on here. So it's been decided that Brian Flores, sit down for a minute. You can't do anything for a minute because the NFL has to focus on what's going on over here on this side. So when you hear all that, what's your take on your thought process overall on the NFL, Rodney Perry?
I mean, ultimately, the NFL is terribly consistent. I tell my children all the time, one thing about people don't do new shit. They kind of always do what they've always done. And so I'm not surprised that the NFL is wishy-washy, Mike. I'm not surprised that the NFL is weird on this. I don't blame the players.
Hello?
I'm sorry, guys. I don't blame the players union because you're negotiating with billionaires that don't have to give you anything. So anything they give you is par for the course. So I think we just got to keep paying attention and watch how this thing hashes out.
I agree with that part. Fig, like I said, with all the stuff that's going on with the NFL, what's your take on how everything else now is reflecting this Brian Flores situation?
The NFL seems like right now, if you look at, if you take everything in a big picture, the NFL looks like it's above the law. That's really what it looks like. It looks like they don't have to answer to nobody. These billionaires don't have to answer to anybody because everybody that can make a decision that would adversely affect the NFL seems to have power over these particular individuals. So I don't understand. So Brian Flores' case is not with the NFL. It's in the court system. He alleged something. He's suing them in the court of law. He's suing them. So now you're telling me that Brian Flores can't present his case because the NFL already has a case pending against him. Since when? So you mean to tell me if I commit a crime, if I rob somebody, and then after I robbed them, I go down the block and I rob somebody else in the store, because I'm in court with this case, this person here can't press charges against me too? Like, since when? Who said that? Like, that don't make sense. What are you talking about? Oh, they're really concentrating on this particular case here, so we're gonna have to make you. Are you stupid? What are you talking about? You have 32 billionaires and one lawyer. You mean to tell me you got 32 billionaires and one attorney that can try a case at a time? There's not another attorney that can pay attention to the Brian Flores case while you guys sham Deshaun Watson? You mean to tell me you don't have two lawyers? 32 billionaires can't afford two attorneys. They're above the law, basically.
Fig made his Perry Mason case. He made his Perry Mason. I ain't even mad at him. That was the Perry Mason point. I like that bit. I really like that one. That was a great one. Michael Sean, Brian Flores is in this particular situation that we've had discussions about right now. We already know about the tampering situation. We know about everything else. What do you think, and where do you think this Brian Flores situation now revolves around to, since they were told, his attorneys were literally told, they may not I repeat, may not gather more evidence to put in front of the judge for what's going on happening right now with this case. What's your thoughts?
All right, number one, that's not going to happen. Number two, Uncle Rodney looks very husky right now. Just want to explain to you that he looks very scary right now. Like he looks like
I can't get no good angle in this hotel.
Like Uncle Rodney looks like I really, if I owed him $5, I'd give him $7. Like right now, I'd give him $7. Big was right. Big is right on what he's saying. The great thing about Brian Flores' situation is that his lawyers aren't going to stop because the NFL says they have to stop.
Right.
They're going to continue on with this. You can't pick and choose when you decide to fight this case or that case or this case. What is happening is now the avalanche is coming down on the NFL. And Roger Goodell, who gets paid $50 million a year, has to take all the pressure from the owners who are saying, fix it. And he can't fix this. He can't fix this. So when he does, he's going to give Deshaun Watson a year suspension. Then Deshaun Watson has enough money to pay lawyers to fight against the NFL. Now, the reason Roger Goodell allowed the Cleveland Browns, and let me repeat this. The reason Roger Goodell allowed the Cleveland Browns to pay him $1 million, which was against the rules technically, for 1 year, was because he expected Deshaun to get 1 year. So now he's screwed because now the Cleveland Browns, if they keep this 6-game suspension, can pay an elite quarterback $1 million to play for 1 year. So Roger Goodell on both sides, the owners are going like, you got to do something. You can't allow them to have an elite quarterback and pay them and pay him $1 million when we're paying Matthew Stafford this amount of money. We're paying Tom Brady this amount of money. We're paying this quarterback this amount of money. So that's why he's so caught up in like, we have to make this 1 year. We got to make it 1 year because Roger Goodell truly believed, he proved. Now, the judge, once again, I'm going to repeat this. I sound like I'm repeating myself over and over again. The judge said Roger Goodell is the one who screwed up. Roger Goodell is the reason why I could only give Deshaun Watson 6 games. So now the owners are like, we pay you $50 million a year. Come to find out, we're about to get our league screwed because you messed up.
Oh.
Yo, that's exactly right. He's 100% right. Roger Goodell tried to get ahead of it. He tried to do everything else, and he played himself on both sides. I hear about you put a quarter in behind, you play yourself, and I ain't never heard nobody put a quarter in their behind and play themselves twice. He literally did that. He did it.
And mind you, we're not even talking about what's going on in Washington.
Right.
We're not even talking about that. The owners are looking at him like, dog, you're going to have to make something work here. Because we got this guy who's going to ruin the reputation of the league because every woman in America is going to be against the NFL. And now you got over here the Commanders ruining the same thing, doing exactly what you say, going against the code of the NFL. Roger Goodell's in a mess right now.
Yeah, but you know what, Rodney Perry? Roger Goodell's happy about one thing. He's happy that the season looked like it's starting because last night was the Hall of Fame game. So he's hoping everybody is starting to pay attention more to the game itself and not what's going on outside of the game. So let's talk about the game itself last night, the Hall of Fame game. I don't know if you saw it, Rodney Perry, but the Raiders ended up playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars last night, which was a good game. I ended up seeing it on repeat. I didn't see it live.
Yeah.
But I saw it on repeat. And it was a pretty good game. But the Raiders look good. You know, Doug Peterson, head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, looks like he's got them a whole different culture. He looks like they look a lot better, even though it was second and third string. They do look a lot better. And the Raiders look really good, even though it was their second and third string. What's your thought process on the, first of all, NFL Hall of Fame game itself and the Raiders winning that game last night, Rodney Griner? What's your thoughts?
I'm here in Washington, D.C. I worked at the D.C. Comedy Loft last night, but we finished early, and I got to see the game, man. And I got to be honest, I was impressed with the Raiders, man. Adams out there looking like he's at home. He looked happy. The QB looked happy getting the ball, even for a couple of series. And this reflects on all the stories today. At the end of the day, we're gonna keep watching the NFL no matter what they do, and as long as we watch, they can do what they want to do. And I don't foresee. I'm gonna watch the Bears. I'm gonna watch the Raiders. And I'm sorry, Deshaun Watson and everybody else is in trouble, but that's y'all ass because I'm still watching.
How was the show, Rodney? How was the show?
Oh, it was a great show last night, man.
Dope.
Excellent. Fig. Like I said, it's like they doing mixing and matching and shuffling and everything else. The NFL's dealing with all this stuff over here, but people are gonna still look like people still tuning into the games. People still watching the games. Hall of Fame game was last night. They had some huge numbers. The Raiders did good. They won. What's your take, Fig?
People could say baseball is America's favorite pastime, and that's not true. America's favorite pastime is actually the NFL, man, because more people watch the NFL than do Major League Baseball, man. So I don't understand what they're talking about and talk about they have to protect the reputation of the Shield. Like, dude, do you know how much stuff the NFL has done? Like criminals, sexual assault and battery, this, that, and the third, blackballing Colin Kaepernick, sending Michael Vick to jail. Like, they've done so much, and the numbers continue to increase. So basically, they just dishing out punishment like old slave masters used to do back in the day. It's however the wind blows and however you feel, that's what you're going to do to the people that work for your organization. You're going to do whatever and however you want to do to these people, no matter what kind of evidence you have. You're going to just do whatever you want to do. And the people will continue to watch because that's what they do. People that love football are going to watch. I don't care what happens.
Yeah. Another one you're on point with that one again, Fig. Michael Sean, what's your take on this? Like, are they doing a bait and switch? Like, while this is happening over here, hey, you guys still watching the game? What's your take, Mike?
See, what they have is they have experts that don't worry about this year. They worry about 10 years from now. And the generation that's growing up is more sensitive than me, you, Fig, Talent, and Rodney would ever be. And what they're worried about is planning that 10 years from now is the NFL going to be? Because there is no such thing as forever. Nothing's forever. Now, I'm not saying the NFL won't always make money, but let's remember in 1970, the biggest sport was baseball. In 1970 and 1960, the biggest thing to be was the heavyweight champion of the world. But it changed. So you have experts now who are sitting there telling Roger Goodell, this generation growing up is going to be more sensitive to what's going on. And it could affect our profits. The NFL will always be here. But there's a chance that 10, 15 years from now, these younger people are going to be like, you're not the biggest deal to us. For me, you and Fig, the biggest deal is watching the Super Bowl. For a kid who's 17 years old right now, 10, 15 years from now, it may not be the biggest deal.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the 30 million, the 20 million people that watch turn into 15 million. And that's what the NFL is concerned about. And that's what their experts are trying to say, Roger Goodell, we have to make something change. But go ahead, Fig.
That's an amazing observation, Mike. And I'm telling you, the fact that you've changed the room that you broadcast in is doing something special to you. I haven't heard anything as clairvoyant as this when you was in front of the fireplace. But now you're in another room, man. You knocked this one out. You knocked the skin off the ball on that one, man. Pause.
But that's what they are paying these people so much money to figure out what's going to happen 10 or 15 years from now. That's what they're trying to figure out. When Jerry Jones dies, and I'm not wishing death on him, of course, but 10 or 15 years from now, Jerry Jones won't be here. He won't have the monopoly on the Dallas Cowboys. So they're trying to figure out, how can we keep this going how can we keep this money coming in without offending kids right now that even me and Fig as comedians know there's certain things we can't say that we said 5 years ago.
Right.
So now things are starting to change, and they're trying to figure out how can we keep this incredible empire going, making hundreds, well, billions of dollars without offending transsexuals, without offending anybody from that community, without offending anybody from all sorts of parts. So now it's a problem.
Mike, I don't know what you've been drinking this morning, but I don't know what it is, but whatever you're drinking this morning, keep drinking that. You know what I mean? Keep drinking whatever you're drinking this morning. Keep drinking that. All right, so let me throw this out there. We're going to take a pause for a second, and because we're doing stories and all this stuff, but let me take a pause. I threw out this question to you guys. I want to see if you guys did your homework. And I said the worst collapse of all time, right? And I'm going to go first.
Why? Why?
You want me to go first?
No, go first. And you know why I want you to go first? Because you always take my answers. That's why.
That's right. You want to go first? You can go first.
Yeah.
I did extra answers. because I knew somebody was going to take mine.
I said get you your 4, but I got more than 4. But
I only got 4.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I want to go first.
Okay, go for it. Go.
All right. Number 1, man. The 1986 Mets. When 1986 World Series when Mets played the Boston Red Sox.
I hate you.
See, that's why I wanted to go first. And Mookie hit that ball up the first base line, and was it Buckner?
Yep. What do you mean? Are you asking?
The ball went right between his legs, and he missed it. The Mets win the World Series on 1986.
Hold on. They lost. The Red Sox lost that game. Bill Buckner lost. That was Game 6, and they ended up losing Game 7 also. But yeah, okay, that's one.
With Roger Clemens pitching. Go ahead.
Yeah, because it would have been over. That game had the Boston Red Sox won. That would have been it. The series would have been over.
If he had scooped that ball up, they would have won that World Series in '86.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. 1987, the Eastern Conference Finals, where Isaiah Thomas, they pretty much had a game 1.
That's a good one.
They go into the finals. He inbounds the ball. Larry Bird steals it. They win the game. They go on to the NBA championship.
Yes.
2011, the Miami Heat against the Dallas Mavericks. The Miami Heat have a stacked team. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, they got the stacked team. They lose to the Dallas Mavericks. To me, that was a big meltdown. Last but not least, the San Antonio Spurs against the exact same team. They play up to Game 7, but in Game 6, they get the rebound. Ray Allen hits the three-pointer. Miami ends up winning in Game 6. They go on to win that championship. And to me, that was a major meltdown by the San Antonio Spurs, because had they gotten that rebound, they win the championship that night. They were bringing out the ropes and the celebration table and the trophies.
Oh, God.
Fig, for the record, all the things you picked, I have none of them. None of them.
Okay.
I have 3 of them. But I got extra. I got extra.
I have none of those. But all right, now I'm gonna go. Okay. Biggest collapses to me in sports. To me, everybody has their own. In sports, to me, number 4, the Bills were trailing the Houston Oilers, 35-3 in the wild card playoff.
Good
in the 1990s postseason.
Good one.
Guess what happened? They end up
Yes.
coming back and beating them. It was the biggest comeback in NFL history. That's my number 4.
Yeah, that's
my number 4. And my number 3, which is easy for y'all. I thought y'all were gonna say it. Golden State Warriors was up 3-1 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland Cavaliers come back.
Oh, Jesus.
Bam. That's my number 3. My number 2. Okay, it was easy. I thought y'all gonna pick this. It's easy. The Patriots was losing 28-3, middle of the third quarter in the Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta.
Knew the Patriots.
Oh, God.
And guess what happened? Patriots come back, tie the game. go in the overtime, go in overtime in Super Bowl and win that game. But my number one has got to be, without a shadow of a doubt, has got to be the ALCS when the Yankees were up against the Red Sox 3-0 and ended up losing 4 straight. And the Red Sox beat them and then ended up going and winning the World Series. That's my 4. That's my 4.
Where's Babe Ruth when you need him? Where's the curse of the Babe when you need him?
It looked like Mike Sean's mad because I got 1 or 2 of his. Go ahead, Mike Sean. Mike, you all right?
What else is left?
Go ahead, Mike.
Jesus.
Go ahead, Mike. But just give me your 4. What was your
All right, here's my 4 because y'all took like 1, 2, 3, 4. Y'all took 5. Okay. I'm going to repeat this. We said this before. The Denver Nuggets beating the Supersonics in that playoff series where Mutombo grabbed the ball and everything was like that. Y'all killed me. Oh, y'all took the Yankees. Oh man. The New England Patriots losing to the Giants not once,
but 2 times.
But twice. And people forget in between that. The Giants went to Foxborough and beat the Patriots in between those 2 games. And twice. Eli made a fourth quarter comeback in Foxborough and beat them. So it was 3 times in a row. I'm a boxing fan.
Yeah.
So I had to bring up Mike Tyson losing to Buster Douglas.
Yeah.
So I had to bring up Mike Tyson, which was probably the most shocking thing I had ever seen in any sports event. Now, my favorite one was the Mets beating the Red Sox. And I'm going to make this as fast as possible. My uncle had died, and my grandfather, that was his son. And my grandfather was the first person that took me to a Mets game to Shea Stadium, which no longer exists. Right. During the funeral, it was my job to run to my dad's station wagon and tell everybody in the funeral what the score was. And we were losing. 6 games, we were losing. So not only did my family lose Uncle Domingo, who was like the most loved person, we went home and the game was over. And my dad said, let's go into your grandfather's room and watch the final outs. Still to this day, I don't know why. And we watched the final outs. Now, mind you, my grandfather was the first person who took me from the Bronx all the way to Queens to Shea Stadium. So we were like, we did it, and we're about to lose. And all of a sudden, Mookie Wilson is up to bat. The ball goes over, and we tie the game. Then next thing you know, the ball dribbles through, like Vic said, Bill Buckner's legs.
Yep.
No one in the world can tell me my uncle didn't have something to do with that. It was the first. It was literally the first time me, my father, and my grandfather hugged each other, jumping up and down like a bunch of little girls. No mean to offend nobody. So that's my list. But that moment was probably the greatest moment ever for me in sports. So sorry to take up too much time, but
no.
That was good. Yo, Frank, you know what we could have threw out? We could have threw out the OKC Thunder with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and all them when they lost to they were up 3-1 on the Golden State. And they lost that.
Or we could have threw out there too the Scottie Pippen's Portland Trailblazers when they were up 3-2 too. Remember? And they were winning, and they were in the 4th quarter, getting ready to close out that series and get ready to go to the finals, and they end up losing.
And I didn't want to bring up because I know I always bring up boxing too much. When Ali beat George Foreman.
Absolutely.
That was not supposed to happen. That was supposed to happen in any way, shape, or form.
The thing is, I wanted to get you guys I wanted to ask worst collapses because I didn't think we all would have the same. You know what I mean? I think that was the great thing. Like we all have different perspectives of what collapses are and where they are.
And I got one more. More. When the Russians lost to the American USA hockey team.
Hockey, yes, sir. Was the Miracle on Ice?
The Miracle on Ice. And everybody forgets that the USA team still had to play Finland afterwards, but they lost. They beat the Russians.
Yeah,
they beat the Russians that were professionals.
Yeah, that was huge. With our college players, that was absolutely huge. All right, so since we were jumping in and let's jump back into the stories and everything else because we don't got that much time, I'm going to throw it out there and I'm gonna start with you, Fig. I'm gonna say Los Angeles coach Sean McVay ended up having to talk about Matthew Stafford's pain in his arm, and he said it was abnormal for a quarterback. So I'm going to ask you, Fig, is the Los Angeles Rams concerned more than what they're saying about Matthew Stafford's arm injury, do you think?
Listen, I don't care what nobody says. Your starting quarterback, your Super Bowl champion quarterback, has an arm injury. You tell me you're not worried? Listen, in baseball, if your pitcher has an arm injury, you're extremely concerned. And there's about 6 or 7 other pitchers on your roster. Your starting quarterback is him and maybe one other dude. So, and the other dude usually ain't that good. So if your starting quarterback has an arm injury, I don't care what nobody says. Everybody on that team is concerned because guess what? They are slated to possibly win it again this year and the repeat. So the fact that Matthew Stafford is injured is a major deal. They better call Jimmy. Jimmy!
Yes.
Jimmy!
Yes.
I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Jimmy!
So that brings up the question to you, to Mike. Are they underplaying it? I think that's the right word to say. Are they actually looking like they trying, and they really are concerned? What do you think is going on in the locker room and in the management? Do you think they really are more concerned with what they're showing us? You know what I mean?
We'll find out if, like Fig was, I don't know if Fig was joking, but if they acquire Jimmy Garoppolo, then we know it's serious.
Mm-hmm.
If they go out there and say, we'll give you some draft picks and we bring Jimmy G over here, then you know it's serious. But the fact that this story has even gone out, first of all, when did he get hurt? You know, we always want to wonder, when did he get hurt? Like what, like Ben Simmons, we all were like, so when did he hurt his back? When did that happen? Did this happen during the Super Bowl? Did it happen during the playoffs? And why are you just addressing that whole situation right now?
Ben Simmons was hanging out with Jimmy G. That's how he hurt his back.
Yeah, they were thumb wrestling, and one person hurt his back and the other person hurt his ankle. Like, it didn't make any sense. But I think we'll find out if the Rams make a move for a backup quarterback, then we'll know how serious this really is.
Yeah, most definitely. So, Fig, next story up in is James Saxon, the assistant coach for the Arizona Cardinals, is facing 2 domestic battery charges stemming from an alleged incident in May. He allegedly assaulted a woman in front of her younger child, who was younger than 16 years old. And it happened basically on May 7th. The argument happened in the house, and then it ended up going to a Costco in front of a lot of other people. And they were arguing and everything else, and almost got physical, where he almost grabbed them and everything else. So Arizona Cardinals had to do something. So, but he's an assistant head coach. So how does this look on the Arizona Cardinals organization, where they're dealing with Kyler Murray? You know what I mean? The Kyler Murray situation, obviously homework versus not homework, and he playing video games. And now the Hollywood Brown got arrested for 126 miles per hour in Phoenix. And now you got a head coach who basically is physically assaulting women. What do you think? What do you think's going on in the Arizona Cardinals situation? What's your thought?
I'd like to call Roger Goodell and see if he's going to give everybody a year. Everybody gets a year. If Deshaun Watson gets a year for accusations, then everybody on the Cardinals got to get a year. They got to get them, everybody on there that's found guilty of domestic violence or anything else, driving more than twice the speed limit. You got to get a year. You got to suspend them for a year, because that's the precedent. Whenever you do something to affect the shield, you got to get a year. So I want to see him out for the entire season, 17 games, all 17, not 6, not 12, 17 games. That's it for now on. Whenever you do something, everybody gets 17 games. That's it. And we don't have to have no discussions. There'll be no arbitrator. There'll be no judge. There'll be nothing. 17 games. You're out for the year. See you next year. Tryouts in the spring. That's what everybody gets.
All right. So do you think he's being over dramatic, Mike? What you think's going on in Arizona over there? What you think's going on?
No, I think he's being sarcastic, but at the same time, he's kind of speaking the truth. Like if this is all about the shield, and you have a situation with another woman, and there's a kid involved. Now, mind you, we don't know the whole story. We don't know the whole entire story.
Right.
But as sarcastic as Fig is being, if that's what Roger Goodell wants to do, and he wants to override the arbitrators, then these are the situations. Now, for his sake, he needs to be happy that he's going to be the smallest story in the whole NFL scope. Like we probably won't talk about this ever again.
Yeah.
Because we'll still talk about Deshaun Watson and everything else that goes on. And somewhere Robert Kraft is sitting there going, I got the same massage, but I ain't get suspended. But, somewhere Robert Kraft is going, I got the same thing done all the time. But,
and have been doing it for years and nobody cared. You know what I mean?
And nobody cared. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying there's a subculture that goes on with celebrities that people never want to admit to. So we want to make believe that this doesn't go on, but it does. But it goes on with famous comedians. It goes on with famous actors and actresses. It goes on with famous football players, baseball players, the whole thing. But then when it comes up, no pun intended, the person that gets caught is the person that suffers the consequences, even though we know this is a normal circumstance.
Absolutely. I'm just saying the fact that it was in Costco with all of those people in there shopping on a Saturday, the place is packed, the parking lot is packed, people running into you with shopping carts. You can't beat a woman up with a whole case of Bounty paper towels. You just can't beat her up in Costco or anywhere else. You're not supposed to put your hands on a woman, period. But now you're going to do it in public, and you're going to not only beat her up or assault her, now you're going to humiliate her in front of a packed Costco. Like, come on, man. That's got to be at least 17 games, because coaches and owners should be held to a higher standard than players.
And you have to have a problem when you're at Costco's and you're mad after they're giving all those free samples. Do you know how many free samples they're giving at Costco's? You still gonna be mad when we getting these free sliders? All right,
let's move on. I want to talk about a couple other things. Man, LeBron James ended up having productive contract extension talks. LeBron James looks like he's going to extend for another 2 more years. He's going to be 39, maybe even 40 with the Lakers. And it looks like they're going to get the deal done probably by today, because, I think the deadline is today, as a matter of fact, because it's August 5th. So end of the day, man, Fig, surprise, no surprise, LeBron James will extend his contract with the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, listen, with LeBron James, everything he does is a surprise for this particular reason. We never know what LeBron James is going to do. And it started from the decision when he went to Miami, and then he left Miami, and he went back to Cleveland. Then he left Cleveland and he went to like, you never know what LeBron James is going to do, because he keeps his stuff close to the vest, and his circle is tight. You know what I mean? So anything that he does, anything that's pending concerning LeBron James, and then it comes out public, we're surprised, because nobody really knows, except him and his inner circle. So the fact that he's going to sign with the Lakers must have promised him the world, and talking about something that they're going to do to make that team around him better. We know that there's something coming down the line with the Lakers. If LeBron James signs that 2-year extension, there's going to be some changes on that roster this year. So that's something that we could look forward to. But everything that LeBron James does is a surprise.
Michael, Sean, you surprised, not surprised that he's going to extend himself out to he's basically 40 years old with the Lakers?
Well, what I was surprised is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I researched this. There's a rule in the NBA that when you hit 38, you can only sign 2-year contracts. You can't sign.
I didn't know about that. That's possible. I didn't even know.
I read that, and if I'm wrong, everybody but I read that at 38, so you can only sign a 2-year contract. But anyway, look, LeBron is good. LeBron must have told the Lakers, I'm not going nowhere else. My whole business establishment is here. I want to rock this out. Sign my son when he comes in here, and tell me there's a way you can get Russell Westbrook off the team. And they probably told him, we can't get him off the team this year. We're going to have to hold him off for 1 more year. And then he goes, so what's the plan that next year to see if I have one more chance to win the championship?
Right.
So when Russell Westbrook is out, so what is your plan and who are you going to bring here to make this happen? At this point, LeBron has already said, whether you agree or not, because I don't want to debate this, whether you agree or not, LeBron in his mind has already said, I'm the GOAT. So LeBron right now is saying, you know what? I'm going to stay in LA. I'm going to make this empire. I'm going to do what I do. And if you bring Bronny in here, even though it looks like his younger brother is the real ball player, but if you bring Bronny in here, we're good. You can get the merchandising. We can make that happen, and we go from there. Because I think in LeBron's mind, he already thinks I'm the GOAT. Now, I think LeBron's the greatest player ever, but I don't agree with that mentality. I don't agree. I still think there are things he has to do to actually overtake Jordan. But hey, LeBron's a billionaire. It's probably like whatever.
The last topic I want to get to, and I want to get to before we get Fig, you got to hold that thought. Last topic I want to get to, and I'll start with you, Fig, is this Kevin Durant situation, because the Nets are saying right now that there's no teams out there willing to help them and work with them. Not even the Celtics are trying to help them to get rid of Kevin Durant, and they still completely want to get rid of Kevin Durant and make him happy, and because they think it's going to help with the team chemistry and everything else. So, Fig, I'm going to ask you this. Do you think Kevin Durant is going to be in a Brooklyn Nets jersey, whether we agree or disagree with how they're handling it by the time the season rolls around? What's your take on this?
I think it's quite possible that Kevin Durant is going to be there. This is going to lead into what I was also about to say, Frank. I do believe there's still an outside chance that Kyrie Irving ends up on the Lakers, because whether Kevin Durant is on the Nets or not, I don't believe that they want to be in the Kyrie Irving business. I think the Nets have had their fill of Kyrie Irving's antics, and by hook or crook, even if they got to buy this kid out, it's only for 1 year. I think they want to get rid of Kyrie Irving, and I do believe it's a possibility outside he may end up on the Lakers, and that may be of something to influence LeBron James also.
But you know what, Fig? You bring up a great point, Mike. Fig brings up a great point, Mike. Maybe Kevin Durant might also even want to stay if Kyrie Irving is gone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, let's look at it like that. He might change his mind. They might be literally saying, you know what? If we, Kevin Durant, would you stay if we get rid of Kyrie Irving? What's your take on this situation where they are now? Because Brooklyn has officially come out. I'm not even making this up. It's not even a rumor. Brooklyn has officially come out and said there's nothing we could do. There's no team that's willing to help us work with this situation to help to trade for Kevin Durant. They came out and officially made that statement. So what now? I know, right?
The thing that confuses me about this is that with everybody coming back healthy for the Brooklyn Nets, if you have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on the same team, and you have Joe Harris, and you have Steph Curry, and you got the young, and I'm sorry that I forget his name right now.
Ben Simmons?
No, you got Ben Simmons, but you got the other jumpy, light-skinned dude that is, and I forget what his name is, but he's impressive to me. I don't understand why you would want to go somewhere else when you literally have a team that can compete to win the Eastern Conference.
They could compete to win the championship. What are you talking about?
No. But I'm saying, let's just go first to the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm.
You can beat Boston if you're healthy. You can, I shouldn't say beat, but you can compete with Boston. You can compete with Milwaukee. You can literally go 7 games with all these people. Where do you want to go, Kevin Durant? Like, where do you want to go?
I think is the volatility of what a Kyrie Irving decision might be. I think there's still a little leery about what Kyrie Irving might do, because at the end of the day, it really wasn't about, I think the vaccination was the icing on the cake, or the straw that broke the camel's back. But there were some decisions that Kyrie Irving made that preceded even the vaccination thing that made them have reservations about continuing to stay in business with him.
Now, the crazy thing, and I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be funny right now, but I'm a comedian at heart. The Brooklyn owners have to be going like, this monkeypox thing is popping right now. Like I know the Brooklyn owners have to be going like, there's gonna have to be a vaccination that we're gonna have to take.
I didn't even think of this, but he's absolutely right.
When you're like, yo, if he decides not to take a vaccine for the monkeypox, we're gonna do this again because it really is becoming serious, and it's the only thing that'll keep me inside. Because I kept saying, COVID can't keep me inside, but monkeypox,
Yeah,
like monkeypox could keep me inside.
And the numbers on monkeypox, they keep climbing.
Yes.
So basically, get it? Monkeypox keep climbing, and it's out of control. And a lot of people say it's bananas.
You an ass.
I don't understand why would monkeypox keep you inside, Mike? What's the difference?
No. Let me explain to you something. I'm a very vain person. Vain person. Any bumps that come on my face, I am staying inside. Like the scenes that I've seen, the pictures, the thirsty Instagram people. Let me tell y'all, Instagram people, if you posted yourself having monkeypox, you are the most thirsty person for views and likes ever. Because I'm never, ever FaceTiming Frank, Fig, Talent, Rodney Perry, or Taz or anybody with monkeypox. I'm keeping that. I'm staying right to myself and getting the vaccine. But I swear, the Brooklyn net ownership is sitting there going like, "But what if we have to have a vaccine?"
Yeah, he's telling the truth.
He's not gonna take it.
So, Mike, tell everybody out there how they can follow you, bro, because we got to get ready to wrap and get out of here.
Follow me at Mike Sean Comedy. All my prayers and wishes go out to Brittney Griner. There's a lot of stuff going on. I really hope that Joe Biden, the president, can make whatever trade, which sounds crazy, to get her home.
I hope so too. I am not even gonna lie. I've never felt so bad for anybody because the thought that came to my mind when this whole thing happened is that if any league shut down and stopped, it would force the president. But nobody cares enough about the WNBA. Like the NFL ain't stopping. You know what I mean? The NBA ain't stopping, but nobody cares about the WNBA enough to be like, you know what? Let's just stop. We're not playing no games and everything else. We're not, nobody's going to do that because nobody cares enough. So that's the thought that crossed my mind.
You're absolutely right. It's out to the Phoenix Mercury, who the lady who did the interview, I forget her name, don't know her name, I'm not even going to front, but she was like, we done cried the entire time and we still have to go out here on the court and try and play for our sister. So God bless her.
And they're not big enough to stop, to force anybody. If they don't play, nobody cares. You know what I mean?
Right.
So Fig, tell everybody out there how they can follow you too, bro.
At Comedian Fig, all social media platforms. I echo what Mike is saying. My prayers go out to Brittney Griner. And one thing I just want to throw out as a caveat: if anybody that has accused Deshaun Watson has really been sexually assaulted, and this just is not a money grab, my apologies to you and your family, because it really is not about, the women. I feel strongly about, women's rights and stuff like that, and them being able to prosecute somebody that does them harm or does them wrong. And if by any way, you're absolutely right in your assertion what this man did, then whatever he gets, as far as I'm concerned, he deserves.
Yeah, but on the flip side, I'm going to throw it out there and say this. But if you are one of those people who are jumping in and trying to get a money grab to help ruin this man's career, then shame on you. Absolutely. Because Deshaun Watson and his mother, the stuff that they've done in the community of Houston, and while they were coming up when he was a teenager and coming up. Now, I'm not saying about what he's done sexually. I really don't know enough, and I don't care enough. But I do know he's done a lot of stuff in the community to try to help better himself and tons of people in the community and everything else. And if you're one of those people trying to force him to get a criminal charge, then really shame on you, and trying to get a money grab. But anyway, that's the show. Fig, thank you for taking the time out for today. I appreciate you. Mike, thank you for taking the time out. I appreciate you. I want to thank Rodney Perry for the little bit of time he was able to get us. Talent was supposed to be here too, but he's traveling. Dave's going to be back next week. We're going to have a great show coming back on Monday. I'm glad I was able to come back because, the dentist jacked me up, man. I'm trying to tell you all.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened. Like, was it a root canal or something?
I had an infection in my mouth and I had to have a tooth pulled, bro. It was horrible.
Oh, super pause. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it was horrible. And my whole jaw was like, I couldn't move it. I was able to talk eventually, yesterday, but woo, it was bad.
I know the feeling, Frank. I've had that.
Yeah,
you know, you lucky too, because they usually don't pull it until the infection. Like they give you antibiotics, wait for it to go away, and then pull it.
Woo, no, no. I'm glad that didn't happen to me because I couldn't even move my jaw. It was so bad. But hey, I'm back. I'm ready to talk and everything else. So we'll be back Monday, man. Y'all have a safe weekend. Please be safe because I saw a car accident on Slauson and La Brea yesterday, man, and everything else. All I kept thinking of when I saw this car accident was like, you never know when today is your last day. So
Yes,
please
sir.
be safe out there. Do everything safely and everything else. God be with you guys. Y'all, I hope to see you all again on Monday, man. We'll talk. BK, be safe. Peace.
Peace.
Let's see if my button sticks.